Hey there everyone, and how's it going? I hope you guys are doing alright. I'm still trying to fight over my sinus infection, and I twisted my ankle the last time I was out skiing. So I'm a little bummed my ski season is basically done for the year because I don't want to hurt it anymore until the summer. Hopefully I don't hurt it in the summer anymore either, but I want to make sure it's well rested before I join up with yours guys, which I'm actually looking forward to. I'll be leaving here in just over a week, so very excited. Anyway, I wanted to make a video for those people who are getting into rafting or have gotten into rafting, but they just don't feel comfortable. They're making, they feel like they're making mistakes maybe. I don't want to alienate anybody out there, but I just want to put together a little bit of video to help you guys out there a little bit. I know that this probably isn't as great as Zach Collier's out there. He does a great job about that stuff. So if you haven't checked out, I think it's Gear Garage. It might have changed up. I'll have to take a look at that, excuse me. But Zach Collier out there on the West Coast doing an excellent job about educating boaters, which is just awesome. But I just wanted to do something similar here with a group of people that ran the Stillwater River. This is a local river here in Montana. A lot of people run it. You can find a lot of anglers out there, kayakers, people who float it in inner tubes, which personally I don't condone doing in certain sections, but you can do it if you want. Like I said, I don't condone it. I just wanted to use this video as an example of, things to pick up on to help improve you as a boater out there. So let's jump into it. But before we get into that, I don't want to alienate the people in this video. They're out there having fun, which I think is awesome. So let's get into it here. A little bit of backstory about this before we really start rolling into it. We will. I know it's taking a little bit here. But this was just after, I believe it was just after myself and a few other guides for a company on this river actually went down to retrieve a boat that had been flipped over upside down and got caught up under a tree. So we were a little wary about, people who come out, rent boats, and then raft rivers. I think it's a cool thing. You can rent a boat and go have fun, especially if you don't have your own boat or if you can't bring a boat with you. But sometimes doing that, or the people doing that, don't have the greatest river sense out there in the world. So it could lead into situations where we were, armpit deep in the river using chainsaws to hack out this tree to free out a big Moravia boat that got stuck upside down. Anyway, I don't even have videos of that anymore. But let's get into this. So it's a family trip. I'm going to turn down the volume here a little bit. But it's a family trip. They're headed down the Stillwater. This is a great section of river to run, actually. It's usually class 2, class 3. This is, it's a fun little rapid, this. I've actually knocked a person out right there. The one thing I sort of noted right there, and if you're a seasoned guide, you might have noticed it as well, or maybe just a seasoned river runner. But the person with the camera here, good old helmet cam there, sitting in the back, and he's going to do it throughout the video here, but he's actually going to swap sides as he goes. It's up to you as a boatsman. I personally believe that some of the great boatsmen are able to paddle off of one side, and that's what I do, especially in a paddle boat configuration like this, when you don't have oar frame assist on the back. Paddling on one side, good grief. But yeah, you can paddle on either side, but definitely having a stronger side to work on and using your crew to help move the boat along is a big deal. So you just swapped again. But like I said, it's up to you, but I still think some of the great guides out there stay on one side. That's just a personal belief. That's what happens a lot on the Stillwater. And I have no idea how they even got into this predicament here. This is actually where the river splits around an island, and it's shallow cobble rock just before we get there. So really all you have to do is just choose a side and go for it. I really don't know how they got caught there. But that just brings a point out. If there is a split there, and both sides are clear, Make your decision early about what side you want to take. If it's a blind corner, listen to the other people who run it, or maybe follow somebody around it if it's a buddy, or if it's somebody who runs that river a lot. Try and follow where they're going because they've run the river before, and hopefully they won't lead you into any snags, which could be very dangerous and almost not the position you really want to be in at all. But if it's clean and you can see around it, choose a side early, position your boat to get there early, or to position your boat to get there in a reasonable time so you're not getting caught on stuff like this. It's a minor thing, especially with a lighter load like this, but it's stuff that could help you in the future, especially with heavier boats like 18-foot gear boats, which I'll be running this summer. I don't know why they replayed that rapid, because they replayed this. They already showed this rapid. It is very faint, and I don't want to turn it up anymore so you guys can hear me kind of talk over the music endpoints here. But the guy on the back there is. He's almost saying paddle commands, like let's paddle forward, guys. It was almost like he was saying right side or left side paddle. They did his family group, so he's saying names in there. I don't know, I really don't know who's who, but another big thing about being on the river in a paddle boat like this, you guys have to work together to get goals accomplished. Usually the person on the back there, where this gentleman is, or this figure anyway, I think it's a gentleman. He's in the position as the guide, so he's in control of the boat, and there's a paddle right there, by the way. But he's the one in control of that boat, and he's the one who needs to put the boat where he wants it to go. Everybody else is the engine of the boat. You guys are paddling, moving that boat in its forward direction. It might not be with the current. You could be portaging across the current at an angle to get move around the river. So you don't always have to be pointed straight down the river. I've run into it in quite a few occasions where I'm the guide, and I've been telling people to paddle forward, or we've just been sitting there, letting the boat do its thing, and people have been panicking, trying to get the boat back straight. I'm like, hey guys, just relax. The boat's going to swing around a little bit. Let's just have a relaxing time here in the flats. So there's just a little tidbit about that. Also, that gal's not really holding on to her too. Oh, there she goes. That's kind of another thing right there, like I was talking about before, keeping the boat momentum going. It's fun in a few rapids where you can paddle into it and just stop paddling, let the river and the momentum you've built up, take the boat and let it go. But in some of the bigger stuff, you want to keep paddling through the rapids. And we'll run into that here in just a bit. But just using this as an example, if the current was weaker right there, they would have blown straight through the current where they are now and ended up on the rocks on that left side there. Which, it's not a bad position to be, but it's something to think about. You don't really want to be bouncing off rocks all the way down the river. And this is like, to me this is a rather weak paddle crew. Like I said, I don't really want to alienate any of them, but like you see, like only a few of them are paddling at once when they all should really be paddling. That was a good example of what I said before, where you can just let the boat do its thing. They're fun moments. You don't have to have much speed in those circumstances. There are rapids you do want speed going through. So, keeping that paddle mentality going as you're going through the rapid is just a nice thing to have. So, Beartooth and Dewdrop rapids here. On the still water here, they do have a sign. It's right over here. Hopefully my face isn't obscuring it. But it's on the river left side there, and it says danger ahead, dangerous rapids or something like that. And they have it there because a lot of people raft the Stillwater or float the Stillwater in all sorts of crafts. It's just local, people, it's easy to get to, you don't need a permit to run it, but you know, people like to run it. But you know, it's just not something nice that the people who own this property have set out that say, hey, you know, big rapid ahead around this blind corner, just be ready for it. And it's something to watch out for on the rivers. And as they're floating through the flats here, you know, it's a nice thing to practice coming into a zone like that. And you can kind of see them doing it, except this gal right there kind of, well, she's tucking her flip-flops in, so never mind. But it's, you get into situations like that, it's always nice to, you know, mentally and physically prepare yourself for it. And here we are. I can talk about running this rapid later if you guys want to. It's a fun rapid to run. But as you can tell already, none of them are paddling. And if you kind of look at the floor of this, a lot of that water is gushing across their left side there. I hope that was right. But you know, it's over here on the left side of the boat. And they're coming into it at an angle with very little speed. I've talked about it before. It's just very little speed going into that. You're basically like a twig. You're going to hit it and just go with the current. You're not forcing your way into the current. You're basically going to hit it and go. And just down here, they end up in a situation where it's pretty easy to avoid if they paddled. You know, granted, there are situations where, you know, you do want to, you know, stop, grab a hold, and, you know, just let the boat do its thing. But most of the situations, you're either going into it in speed, or there are, you know, you might not want that speed, but there's enough current where the river will actually push the boat out and clear it out. So granted, there are those situations. I just wanted to backtrack and not have, you know, people comment that below, although I have been in those situations before. If you have as well, please comment them down there. I'm not always right, and I always like to learn new stuff, so this is just some basic stuff to help you do a little bit better in rapids and other stuff like that. But another thing you can see, the guy in the back there is working his guide stick. We usually like to call it. He's orienting the boat, but that really doesn't do much to propel the boat forward. You can do it. It takes a bit of effort. You can move the boat just a little bit at a time. But in a heavier boat, I mean, this is a pretty light or medium light paddle configuration with 6 people and a guide. But it gets heavy, and your arms are only strong enough. And I've gotten that position myself. I mean, I'm a big fella, but I've had to have people help the boat out of there. So here's something that boggled my mind, and I do apologize if I'm stopping this quite a bit. I don't want to spoil it, all of it to you, but if you're you know, trained, or if you're kind of working on your river sense here a little bit, and it's something that you get with experience and time, or if there's any experienced river runners out there watching this video, you can kind of look at the orientation of the boat and see how they're paddling. You can kind of see the direction they're wanting to get to, but they're not going to quite make it. This is another one of those instances where you need to decide, and this is a bridge pillar, so it's a little bit more dangerous than an island, but you need to decide what side of the river you want to be on, and you need to set up for that before getting to it. So I'll just let this roll out, and I'll talk about it afterwards.
Okay, guys, everybody paddle, everybody paddle. Okay, stop. Hey, guys. Okay, everybody, keep cool for a minute. Don't lean to the left. Don't lean to the right. I mean, here we go. Paddle. Let us flip around. There you go. All
right, so you probably saw that coming. They hit the bridge pillar, and they almost paddled right to it, in my opinion anyway. The things I do like about it is it kept them calm. In a situation where you hit something like that, your adrenaline is going to be pumping. But very similar to medical training, especially like first responder or search and rescue training, you need to stay calm. You need to force yourself to stay calm, take a look at the situation. If you start panicking, then things get out of control. So the guy here did his best to calm the whole boat down. The two people on I believe it was the front guy there on the left, and the gal right behind them were actually doing something which is called high siding. They were up on that higher part of the boat, trying to keep weight on that. Because the moment you move to that downstream side, or the lower part of the boat, the low side of the boat, that causes that to get more weight on it, the water sucks on it, and everybody goes flying out of the boat. I've been in that situation as well, quite a few times. It's going to be a situation you might find yourselves in if you continue rafting. It can be scary, but it happens. At least that's all I can really say to it. It happens on the river, and I don't know if you'd find yourself in that situation anyway. But it's definitely something to think about out there. But luckily, the boat didn't flip over. Luckily, the river pushed it off. You could actually roll the video back here, which I will, and a little bit more here. And you can see the big old tree caught right behind the bridge pillar. And that's another thing that tends to happen on rivers. Everything builds up in the winter. The rivers sink down. There's no water in the rivers, or there's very little water in the rivers. It's all up in the snowpack in the mountains. And then spring hits, everything flushes down. You get the spring rains, the water level rises and rises, eats away at the bank, and trees will start flushing out, especially if you live in an area where there's a lot of river erosion and there's a lot of trees. Kind of like what here is. In this area, we have really big cottonwood trees. So they find their way into the river a lot. And that's actually what caused my very first commercial flip, was a big cottonwood tree, which I thought was a rock, until I got about a foot away from it. So that sucked. Anyway, luckily they bounced right off. The current kept them moving. And that's kind of what happens sometimes. If it doesn't happen, you get stuck there, definitely, try and calm everybody down. That bridge pillar is actually wrapped many boats. So that's just something to be wary of, or bridge pillars, anything that can potentially wrap a boat. So big rocks, trees, anything like that. I try and avoid them like a plague. If you can't, little bumps here and there are fine, but don't full broadside that sucker. And I mean full broadside. Don't take your boat versus a rock, hit it, and then just wrap it. That's not a position you really want to be in. The best way of avoiding that, I've mentioned before, is to basically pick a side. If it's clear, like I said, choose early. If it's not clear, maybe stop your boat upstream. A ways upstream is fine. Get out of your boat, go down, take a look at it, see which direction is clear, make a game plan, and then go run the river again. It's called scouting. And, it's some people like it, some people don't like it. Sometimes it makes butterflies in your stomach and you're going, oh crap, are we really going to run that? Usually it turns out fine though. But just having a game plan and looking at it just so you know what's coming up is a good thing to have. Alright, I'm going to end the video right here. I know it's a little bit longer of a video. Hopefully it was educational for anybody who, or anybody who's watching this video. And if you have any questions or comments or feedback, please leave it down there in the comment section. But one more thing I just wanted to highlight there. 3 big things for the video really was, keep paddling through rapids. More crucial in kayaks and smaller craft than it is in rafts, but definitely keep your momentum up, or boost your momentum through rapids. I've never hit a rapid with too much speed. I've hit rapids with too little speed, and that's what happen. That tends to flip boats, especially on the bigger hydraulics. So there's that. My other one is choose early. Choose your directions early and stick to that direction. And then lastly, scouting is a great thing. I barely touched on scouting in it, but if you have any questions about where the river is going, what's downstream of you, especially if you hear the roar of a rapid downstream of you, you know, it's perfectly fine. You stop your boat, go a hike down, take a look at it, and then come back and, you know, keep on with your trip there. It saved myself quite a big surprise when I was on a little creek one time, but, you know, I don't want to go too long in the video. That being said, any questions or comments, guys, please leave them down there in the comment section. If you enjoyed this, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet and you want to keep up with my videos here, when I can get them out anyway, please consider subscribing. It all helps me out, and it makes me just really thankful you guys appreciate the content I'm getting out there. It might not be the best, and I'm really want to work on that. But, you know, thank you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video.